My name is Ryan Wasielewski. I'm the Director of IT for Kendall and Hudson. We are a life plan community senior living facility that's located up in Sleepy Hollow, New York. Kendall and Hudson is a senior life plan community. We provide housing and support to older residents who come in. They move in, they have their own apartments, when they start out in independent living. From there, they have the ability of moving through our continuum into assisted living and nursing, skilled nursing, or memory care from that point on. My IT team at Kendall and Hudson is relatively small. It is myself, and I have one assistant that works for me. We handle both resident requests as far as things like helping them with their computers or their televisions, but we also have to maintain our internal systems for our IT operations, from our servers, our network infrastructure, our Wi-Fi, all of the computers, all of our applications, all of that things that go into IT. We are basically working from the top down all the way to the bottom on everything that we do. As a director of IT, my role basically is to make sure that everything is running as it should be, that all of our networks are up and operational, our staff are able to do their job, that the systems are working properly, but also to kind of forecast and plan out where we need to go in the future. And that does involve a lot of metrics and understanding about what is actually going on in the network on a day-to-day basis. Where are our pain points? Where do we need to focus, and things like that. IT in healthcare is a very interesting thing. There is a lot of regulations when it comes to IT, both on a federal and a state level. We have a lot of different requirements and regulations that we need to be compliant with, and things that we have to prove year by year to show that we are compliant with them, so that we can, continue to operate properly and not, have to deal with any negative consequences based upon that. And that does require a lot of information about a lot of different systems on a very micro scale to understand exactly what's happening. So we work with several different compliance regulations. As part of the state of New York, we are beholden both to the Department of Health and the Department of Financial Services, as well as being regulated by the federal government underneath HIPAA. That means we need to make sure that we have a secure network, that we don't have any compromises in that network, that all of our data is encrypted both at rest and in transit, that there is no malware or other kinds of malicious activity going on within the network. So we use quite a few number of ManageEngine solutions in the organization. To date, we have running in our network OpManager, Endpoint Central, Service Desk Plus, AD Audit, Log Analyzer. We are going to be bringing in AD Manager soon to be doing some of the more day-to-day stuff, especially when it comes to account creation and things like that. OpManager is a great network management tool. We've had several different network monitoring systems throughout the years. We've been on Orion. We've had another in-house one that I can't remember the name of. But OpManager we've had for several years now. I think it's like going on 4 or 5 years now that we've been using it. And it really gives us a nice deep look into our network. I know for myself personally, the first thing that I do when I get in the morning is I pull up OpManager and I go and I look at my dashboard. And if my dashboard isn't green from top to bottom, then I know that I got to work for that day. So I'm constantly looking at that just to make sure that everything is green, everything is where we want it and need it to be. All right. Really has helped us gain a lot of insights into where our pain points in our network are. Where do we normally have failures occurring? Where do we need to focus? And potentially even with our strategy going forward, these are places that we definitely need to look at to improve. So before OpManager, we were beholden generally upon other MSPs that we were using for these monitorings. And it became very difficult for us to fine tune what we were looking at, what we were alerting on, what were those real deep level things. You get a managed service provider they generally give you a dashboard and they say, these are the things that we think you should look at. And that doesn't always necessarily reflect the things that you want to be looking at. So by getting OpManager and being able to use that, setting it up the way that we want it, be alerted when we want to be alerted and not alerted when we don't want to be alerted, that really helps us streamline. It helped us dig deeper into our networks. And it helped us with the number of other challenges like config management. How do we manage the backups for these devices? Now we have all of that. We can do what we want with it and not just what our MSPs want us to do with it. Places where OpManager has proven to be useful. So the way that the Kendall system works, we have multiple sites. We have, at this point, I believe 11 different sites that are all individually owned and operated. So I'm the IT department at my site and there are IT people at other sites. So being able to use OpManager to map each of those sites and provide that insight, not only to the individual people at those sites, but as an overall holistic view of how we are connected and where things are in relation to each other was really helpful to us, especially during the pandemic, when we had a lot of things that we had to make sure that we were, people were remote, making sure that firewalls were working properly, that our VPNs were working properly and all that. So as a business benefit, what ManageEngine the OpManager has allowed us to do is to become more agile in our responses. So I don't have to track down where a problem is. I go into OpManager and it shows me where that problem is. So I can take more root action and instead of spending 5, 6, 7 hours going through logs, looking at network switches, figuring out exactly where that root cause is. So by that alone, it has saved us hours of labor, hours and hours of manual labor, my time, my assistant's time to do things that we really need to be doing and get the network back up and running quickly. I definitely would recommend OpManager as a product. It really does streamline your day-to-day operations and makes everything that much easier to do. Because when you're not having to worry about your infrastructure, if you're not having to worry about those core switches and those access switches and the Wi-Fi, then you can really get to the business of getting things done. OpManager modules that I really like, I do really love that dashboard. I live and die by that dashboard. It shows me all of my alerts. It shows me all of my troubled machines and my troubled devices on the network. The big one for us is that the config management, the network config management that does pull all of our configs off of our switches so that in case we do have an issue where, let's say a pipe breaks and a switch gets flooded, we have that config. We don't have to worry about it. It's there. We know that we can go out, we can get the hardware, and we can have that switch back up as almost within 15, 20 minutes of getting the hardware on site if we had to. It's a great benefit. So Endpoint Central has been a real game changer in the organization. We've used several different programs to try to do a lot of the things that Endpoint Central does, the patch management, remote controls, software deployment, all that kind of things. And nothing that we've tried up to this point has worked quite as well as Endpoint Central. The patching is automatic. It goes out automatically. We don't really have to do anything with it. Software packages for deployment are so much easier than any of the other software deployment programs I've worked with. The configurations are easy. They're intuitive to set up. And all of the remote access, all of the ability not only to just remote into a user's computer, but the ability in the background to open up a command prompt, the ability to go in and look at files on the system, all that kind of things really make it a lot easier for me to do my job, especially when I'm dealing with people who are remote. I'm very big on the configurations and the software deployment parts of it. Having the configuration set up so that when I put a computer on the domain, it automatically gets the agent from the AD through a GPO, and then that computer will get the configurations based upon what group it's associated with, and then start installing every single software that I need. So it'll install Chrome, it installs the program that allows access to our EMR, it installs all the shortcuts that they need for web pages and things like that. It sets all the browser securities on everything, all without me having to touch the machine. We are currently using the security add-ons for Endpoint Central. We believe we have deployed the BitLocker, which is a big thing for us. So now all of our systems across the entire organization are BitLock encrypted the moment they come onto the network. That key is stored both in AD, in the computer's object in AD, as well as in ManageEngine security, so that we can easily access it if we do need to recover a system. But the fact that since we are under HIPAA, since we are under the DFS and all of these other things, and encryption is this huge thing, having that be there so that we are secure and knowing that every system is encrypted at all times, it's a game changer. It really saved us. It saved us so much time. We had other products we used before going to Endpoint Central. I don't know if you're familiar with BMC at all. That one, particularly the package creation and deployment, was laborious and very difficult to deal with. The fact that we have all of these pre-configured templates for all the different softwares in ManageEngine that are kept up to date automatically, and I don't have to go in and change them every single time, that really streamlined the process of getting out the software that we want and making sure everything is up to date. The big challenge that we have, once again, with compliance and regulations, we are required that all of our computers are, first off, encrypted, like BitLocker, but are kept up to date with patches, including our servers and all of that. So having that automatic patch management, when the patch comes out, we can take it, we can test it, and then we can automatically deploy it to all of our machines within a few clicks. It really makes the whole process much better, and we can then turn around and prove that these patches were installed. We have a record in Endpoint Central that these deployments happened. So in terms of positive business impacts, it actually has helped us quite a bit in our SLAs and getting to being able to provide fixes and things for our staff members, both in the fact that if we have an issue with a software, we can push a patch or we can push an update to a software quickly. The ability to remote into a staff member's computer, not even just from Endpoint Central, but in all the integrations that it has with the other ManageEngine products like Service Desk Plus, that we can get in there and we can actively work on a computer fairly quickly, has severely reduced the amount of time it takes us to respond to those service requests. The thing that I really love about ManageEngine and the products is the fact that when you get one ManageEngine product and you stay in there and you learn it, and then you go ahead and you get another one that integrates it, the transition from going from just the one to the two is so smooth, because you're not having to relearn how to navigate the stuff anymore. Because the products are so holistically developed and they look almost the same between products, it makes it a much easier learning curve to get all of these tools working together and to move from one thing to another. Say, oh, there's an issue on the network here, it's coming from this computer. I can just easily jump from my OpManager over to my Endpoint Central and do what I need to do and generate a service desk ticket at the same time. So having all of that in one ecosystem and one very similar pane of glass makes the whole thing just work much more cohesively, much better than having this tool over here for this and this tool over here for that. And they don't talk to each other and they look completely different. So you have to remember how you do this here and how you do this here. It's probably my favorite thing about the products. So the three things that I like most about ManageEngine, first off, the way that the front ends, the UIs are implemented. It's very similar across the different products. I also like the amount of integrations. Almost all of their products easily talk to each other, and you can pull information from one place to another. The third thing I would say is the support, because if I need support, there's that little chat button in the bottom right corner of every single one of the products. I click it and I'm automatically talking to somebody. I don't have to call a number, go through a menu, wait on a queue. It's just support. User conference experience is really nice. It's really good. I've met a lot of people here, had a lot of conversations, learned a lot of information. I definitely recommend, if you're using ManageEngine products or you're thinking about using them, come to the conference, talk to the people, and learn about what they do, because a lot of the stuff that they're doing is really exciting.